Alrighty, welcome everyone. I can see everyone filing in. We'll give it a little bit of time before we sort of start the session, let a few more people sort of enter. But welcome to another webinar with Fitness Australia and Jen Dugard here, who will be taking you guys through a bit of information about how to start up your sole trader business. So I'm sure you guys will love it. As always, just if you've got any relevant questions, please throw them in the Q&A. And of course, pop any comments you want to in the chat as well. If you've got any questions about anything, feel free to message me as well directly or Fitness Australia. But Jen, whenever you're ready, take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Luke. It's really funny because I do lots of webinars where I can see all the faces. So it's like you're saying they're all coming in, but I don't see all the people. It's good. Hey, guys, I can see a few people popping highs in there. Marina, you just put that you're in Sydney. I'd love to know where everybody is. So if you are cool, Perth, Newcastle, I love it. One of the ways I always love to start a conversation, because although I'm presenting, I do feel like I'm having a conversation with people, is not only to say hi, but also pop into the chat box a word that tells me how you're showing up today. And one of the rules is that it doesn't have to be positive. If you've had I try not to swear, a not very good morning, you're welcome to put that in the chat box. So I'd love to know a word. Shattered. Nice. Pamela's done a workout. I love it. Average, great, productive, some great words there. Oh, it's in isolation, Victoria. Sorry to hear that, Victoria. Energized, sweaty, hot. You guys are in Sydney, maybe where it's hot. Positive but tired. Hey, Jill. Awesome. Yeah. Cool. All right. As Luke said, as we travel through this conversation, Kim, I'm sorry to hear you're not feeling good. I would love for you guys to ask me questions. So what I've tried to do is make it as practical as possible. I've put a bunch of links in here as well. So after the presentation, I'm going to be putting together a landing page where you guys can get the slides, which will have the links on. And there's also another resource that I'll be offering you guys later on. So we will make sure that the Fitness Australia team give you access to those things. But today I'm here to talk about how to start and grow your sole trader fitness business. So next to pre and postnatal exercise, this is my absolute passion. Making sure that fitness professionals that are out in the world supporting other people are running businesses that support themselves. Because one of the biggest traps that I see trainers fall into is that they are very good at what they do, not so good at the business stuff, and they end up trying to look after so many people, but kind of putting themselves at the bottom of the pile. So we're going to touch on that a little bit later on. So having some business skills under your belt, and also a kind of a checklist, which is hopefully what I'm going to be providing you guys with today. So a little bit about me, for those of you that don't know anything about me at all. I've spent 15 years in the fitness industry, and a decade of that, in fact, more than that now. My son is 13, and I started my business Body Beyond Baby, which was group exercise for mums in Sydney's eastern suburbs, when he was just 3 months old. So I always tell a story in my course where I started Body Beyond Baby when Marley was 3 months old, and I managed to start it because he was a sleeper. I got another child 2 years later that pretty much hasn't slept since, and she's 11 and she doesn't like to go to bed without me. I used to think it was my parenting, and now I know it's the child. I am the founder of MumSafe, which is the recent evolution of the Body Beyond Baby brand. I've won multiple awards throughout my journey, both in the business space and in the fitness space. I've been a long-time member of Fitness Australia, entered all of the awards. So if you didn't enter them this year, highly recommend you entering them next year. And it fits really well into what we're talking about today, because credibility is a really important part of a successful sole trader business, and awards can really help you guys with that. I wrote a book back in 2013 called How to Love Your Body as Much as Your Baby, and I love to speak at places like Filex, FitX, and even XPro over in Singapore. I write for a number of different publications on and off, and I basically spend my days now teaching fitness professionals how to work with mums and how to grow their mum-focused fitness businesses. But a business is a business, right? I do sit on the board of Fitness Australia, and I'm a coach for Dent Global. So a little bit of an overview about today. So we're going to start off going through, like I said, a bit of a checklist on the things that you need to get organized if you want to set up your sole trader business. Now, I do see a lot of people kind of fly by the seat of their pants, and that's going to be a big theme throughout the whole of this session. Then we're going to go into some systems and processes, the basic systems and processes that you need within your business in order to kind of feel organized. Most people run a hobby and then try and turn it into a business at some point, but always kind of feel like they're going around in circles and don't really have any structure. So we'll talk about that. Then we'll talk about, when you've got those things in place, what is the actual business that you want to create? Because again, many personal trainers or fitness professionals create businesses that end up not really aligning with them. So we are going to touch on goals and values a little bit. Then we're going to talk about knowing your client and also getting known. So we're going to move from the specific things that you need to have in place. Then we're going to go into understanding what you want to create, understanding your ideal client, and then also how to start to get known in your area. So I got a little statistic for you guys to begin with. Please do ask questions as we go. I think Luke said that at the start, but I very much love to have a conversation. So although I've got lots of information to impart to you guys today, I also know that, you know, some of you are here at the absolute start to learn, but there'll be other people who've decided to tune in that have a lot of business experience or have their own experiences as well. So please put questions and your thoughts and experience in the chat box, because it's really helpful when we all share information. So I put a little statistic on the success of a small business, because at the end of the day, if you're setting up a sole trader business, you are a small business. So approximately 20% of small businesses will fail in the first year. 30% of businesses will have failed in the second year. By the fifth year, about 50%, so half will have failed. And by the end of the decade, only 30% of businesses will remain. So over a 10-year period, there is a 70% failure rate. I pulled that from entrepreneur.com. There are a few different statistics around, and I don't want that to scare you guys, because what I know is that you can run a successful fitness business for a really long time. And the beauty of being a sole trader is that your business can evolve with you over time. I love that, Donna. Thank you for apologizing, but you don't need to. Thank you for being here. So what my aim today is to give you guys some of the structures in place to help you to not be one of the 20% that fail. We also know that there's quite a high, I don't know the exact statistic, number of fitness professionals that leave the industry. We have quite a high turnover of personal trainers, fitness professionals in the industry, and especially throughout COVID. So what I feel like we've got at the moment is this mix of people that have stuck it out and they've evolved their business and they've done all of these beautiful things, and they're still here. And then we've got people that are just coming in brand new now. Maybe they've lost another job, or they've decided to reflect on where they were in their career because of COVID, and now they're moving into the industry. So yeah, it's interesting to kind of have a think about who's out there and what everyone's doing. One of the things I do know about personal trainers, I don't know if anyone's read the book, The EMyth. I remember reading this years and years ago, but they talk about 3 different types of people within a business structure, I guess, or the different entities or personas within the business. So we have the technician. So the technician often lives in the present and is focused on doing the work of making whatever you're making. So it could be a baker, could be a butcher, could be a fitness professional. So you're the personal trainer that's on the ground doing the thing. You're selling it and you're delivering it. Now, most fitness professionals, and let me know if you agree, are really good technicians. Yeah, so a lot of people start their life as someone, or start their fitness career as someone who's either loves to train, or they've had a life-changing experience that has been due to training, and they're really good at training. Absolutely. So it's the EMyth, and we'll make sure you get the slides later on. So we are technicians at the end of the day, or to start with. We're in there, we're doing the thing, we're looking after the people. Then we have the manager. So the manager focuses on achieving results through people and systems, and they focus on the present, and they are also strategizing for the future. Yeah. And then we have the entrepreneur that defines the business and focuses on closing the gap between where the business is today and where they want it to be. Now, in an ideal world, as a sole trader, you kind of want to cross, and I saw someone write it down. Laura floats between all three at different times, which is absolutely perfect. But what I do see often is many fitness professionals are technicians, and they struggle with managing themselves and their time, and especially if they bring on somebody else underneath them down the track. And they may not have those entrepreneurial skills to grow the business. The other thing that I see a lot of is the technician who has the entrepreneurial brain, but doesn't understand the systems and the processes and the stuff in the middle that allows them to move from being a technician to an entrepreneur. So I'd like to fill those gaps a little bit for you guys later on today. So the book was the EMyth. There we go. Thanks, Scott. All right. So a lot of fitness professionals are just winging it. So today we're going to be taking you from winging it to creating systems and processes and hopefully cheering at the end. To begin with, we have your logistics checklist. So these are the things that you need in place in order to simply start your business. Some of them are going to seem really obvious to you guys. Others are not going to seem quite so obvious, or you'll go, oh, I just didn't do that. So starting off with an ABN number, you're going to need one of those. So make sure you've got that. A business name. So you need to register your business name at ASIC. Google it first. So I see a lot of fitness professionals who choose a business name before they've Googled it, and potentially they haven't even registered their business name. They just start using it, which is all well and good until somebody knocks you on the or taps you on the shoulder and says, hey, you're using my business name. I've registered that. Or you decide that you want to move out of becoming, let's say you're starting as a local fitness business and you want to go beyond that across Australia. And then you find that somebody else or 12 other fitness professionals have got the same or very similar fitness business name. So please get onto Google and look up the name that you think that you want to use. Then get on somebody else's computer and do the same thing, because sometimes computers, especially if you've been looking around at that name, it can be a little bit biased. Or if you're going, I've been using this name for a long time, but I have never registered it, then get on there and Google it on somebody else's computer, because your computer becomes familiar with your search. There's a great website you can use called namechecker.com, which will check the availability of your the name that you want to use on social media. So this is another problem that people have. They decide on a business name and then they get onto social media and the name's gone in some other entity. So you can use namechecker.com to see what is available. So that will take you through to Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all of the things. Consider trademarking. If you have an entrepreneurial brain and you want to, at some point, grow a big brand, do consider trademarking. A little story that I've just been through, and we're out the other side now, so I feel very comfortable sharing, but we've been using the Safe Return to Exercise brand for a really long time. Safe Return to Exercise can be seen as a section of like a sentence. So when we'd been using Safe Return to Exercise for a few years, and then we put it into trademark, and they came back to us and said, we now need you to prove everywhere that you've been using it, because it is a common term, especially with COVID. So people are using the term Safe Return to Exercise. We own that in Australia now, and it is trademarked. But we had to go through a much bigger process of proving that we were the ones that, 6 years ago started using that, started the hashtag on Instagram, started all of those things. So if you can do that now, I put a link here to IP Australia, and there's a process called Head Start. So you can go through that process and they give you immediate feedback to let you know whether they think that it's going to be an easy process or a hard process. I'm going to go through the slide and then I'm going to come back to the questions. The next thing, open a business bank account. In fact, open two. Open one that your money's going to come into and one that's going to be your savings. And then start treating your business like a business, not a hobby. We're going to talk about financials, and I might even share a couple of spreadsheets with you guys in a second. But when the money comes into your bank account, it is not all yours. So you need to make sure to begin with that you're saving your tax. I've put 30% there as just a baseline, but do the research to make sure that you're, when it's early days, it might be less than that, but moving it or making sure that you're at that 30%. If and when I didn't put GST on here, but make sure that you're always, I didn't assume most people starting a sole trader business would register for GST, but obviously when you are registered for GST, you need to not only save your tax, you save your GST off the top, then you save your tax off the remainder of that. And then I highly, highly recommend that all of you are saving 10% of whatever is beneath that, because there's not many fit pros out there, or not enough fit pros out there that are saving super. So you come to the end of your fitness career, or you, not the end of your fitness career, but you spend 10 years in the industry not paying yourself any super. I don't, you know, whether you choose to put that into super or not, take that 10% out and make sure that you're saving it somewhere. The other thing, if we're touching on GST, is if you're someone that's scaling your business quite quickly, or you've been in your business for a couple of years, you need to just be aware of when you're going to tip over into that GST category. I had a really great conversation with one of a client that I mentor the other day, and it became really apparent that she was going to move into that category for GST, but before the end of this financial year. So we then needed to have a conversation about the strategy of raising the prices for her clients, because I don't want you guys to cop the GST. We need to pass that on if you can, or at least having a way to scale that up and accounting for GST. But in the meantime, making sure that she's putting away the GST separately, so that at the end of the financial year, if she needs to pay it, or she needs to have a conversation with her accountant, she's got it sitting there rather than getting hit with a bill that she can't pay. Dilshan, I hope I pronounced that properly. GST, no, don't pay GST until you have to. So I think it's $70,000. Don't register for it until you have to. But what you do need in order to make sure that you're doing that is a financials, projections, and actuals spreadsheet. So I'm going to show you this in a second. I've got a couple of spreadsheets to show you. Actually, no, I'm going to show it now. I'm going to stop sharing the screen. I'm going to grab my other one that I've got waiting here for you guys. Where are we? And then I'm going to share my screen again. Okay, so I wanted to show you guys this. This is what I've used before as a financials, actuals, and projections spreadsheet. So what this is showing me is that my income, based on 10 sessions per week at 10 people per session at $28 per head, that's ex GST, I'm going to earn $11,200 in July. If I was then to add another product to this, you can see there I've put a challenge in there, some PT sessions, 5 sessions based on 5 sessions per week, and then a weekend training session. So each of these things are put into my projection spreadsheet on different lines. And what I'm able to do along the bottom is alter my projections so that this one I've got 8 per week, this one I've got 6 per week, this one I've got 4 per week, and this one I've got 2 per week. So, and I could play with this and go, well, I could have 8 per week, 2 per week from July to October. And then maybe after October, it's the first introduction into summer. I'm going to then go 4 per week. So I could adjust my financial projections based on that. And when you're running a sole trader business, it's really important that you start to understand what money is going to come in, and also the expenses under that. So you can see all the expenses listed under here. Then what I suggest is you have another one of these sheets, or you might be using Xero or something along those lines. But if it's early days, the spreadsheet is absolutely okay. Where you put in your actuals. So you copy this, and then in July, you might go, well, actually, I didn't quite fill 2 sessions per week. I only filled 1 session per week and the other one was half full. So what was the actual income for July? And you can see how you're tracking. So making sure you're starting to manage your finances in a way that you can track them and project ahead is super important as a sole trader business. I'm just going to stop my share, go back to my slides. Where are we? Here we go. All right, cool. Other things to be aware of is insurance. Given you guys are here and you're registered with Fitness Australia, I'm assuming your insurance is taken care of. Any council licenses, make sure that you've got those. And then in terms of if you have any agreements in place, so making sure that you've got any rent agreements, if you're going to be renting space in somebody else's gym or facility, or if you start to get any contractors and things like that, you need to make sure that you've got agreements in place with them. The best advice I can give you guys early in when you're making agreements with other people, and I've learned this the hard way, is plan for the relationship to turn sour. So the best contracts are put in place when everyone is happy in a relationship and feeling respected, and it protects the relationship if things don't end up the way that you want them to be. The same with your financials. So a number of years ago, I did a very silly thing and did not save my tax or GST. And I saw all of this money coming in and it was really great, and didn't realize it wasn't tracking all of the money going out. And I got to the end of the financial year and a business that was turning over $200,000 gave me a personal taxable income of about $16,000 and a big tax debt that I had to then go on a payment plan to service. I'm glad to say that was a number of years ago, but I really don't want that to happen to you guys. All right, before I move on to the next slide, I'm just going to answer a couple of questions. Okay, let me scroll up a little bit. Pamela asked a question about, do you have to register if you're working under your own name? I'd register your name as a business name. Yep. Louise is saying you don't have to, but I would claim your business name. Claim your name as your business name. Same as your URL. If you don't own your domain name, go get it just in case you want it at some point. Accounts for GST. No problem, Mary. Registers this through MyGov. I didn't know about that. I did mine clearly a long time ago. Let me have a think about adding some spreadsheets, Sheena. I can potentially do that. Awesome. Cool. Yeah, I'll add the financial spreadsheet onto the resources for you guys. Not a problem. I don't want anyone to be not doing their finances properly. Okay. So once we've moved out of the basic, the logistics and the checklist of the things that you kind of have to do in order to make sure that you're running a legitimate business, I highly recommend that you start your business with some processes and templates. Now, these can feel like a bit of a pain in the bum to start with, but the picture there is all about is my reference to laying the foundations. So you guys do not know where your business is going to go. You could be the next F45. You could be the next, what was the one that just sold for lots of money? I can't remember. I'll come back to me. But all of those businesses had to start somewhere. And I can promise you that they all have processes, systems, and templates that are the way that they run their business. So by the time I'd finished Body Beyond Baby, I had a manual, which was all of the things within my business. And I was also able to sell that as a white label business to other trainers that wanted to set up a mum-focused fitness business. So you never know where where your business is going to go. What I do often see is trainers kind of flying by the seat of their pants, especially when it comes to lead generation. So what we often see is a trainer that's had email inquiries, Instagram inquiries, Facebook inquiries, and they're kind of tracking where the leads are, but they don't really know where they've come from. And it's really, really easy for that lead to drop off the face of the earth and then to forget about them. So you need a lead generation spreadsheet within your business, and you must be meticulous with the information that you put on there. So I don't know about whenever I go to the hairdressers, they're always really good at remembering something that we talked about last time. Now, what I know now is she doesn't have a great memory. She has a file where she goes and she puts, Jen went on holiday, Jen's child just started school, or whatever it may be. So your lead generation spreadsheet not only tracks the people coming into your business from a numbers perspective, because at the end of the day it is a numbers game to fill your sessions, but it's also a relationship builder. So if you're not writing really good notes in your lead generation spreadsheet, and you do not know how many leads you need in order to convert to trials, in order to convert to actual sign up clients, you're doing yourself a real disservice, and you're definitely not serving the clients that you have or the leads that come into your business to the best of your ability. So making sure that you have a really, really good lead generation spreadsheet with their name, with their email, with their phone number, comment section about the conversations that you've had. And then I always have a tally. So I have 1 all the way from the top to the bottom, and that tallies at the bottom. And they're all the people who've just inquired. Then I have another one of those columns that tells me that has 1 for the amount of people that have done a trial, and then the same ones again for the people that actually sign up. And what that enables me to do over time is to understand my numbers. So if I had 10 people sign up and that converted off 12 people that came to a trial, I know my conversion rate is really good and really high. And then what I might understand and what happened within the fitness business that I used to run is we probably needed 1/3 of people that inquired would actually come to the trial. So if I wanted those 12 people to come to trial, my maths is bad, I need 66 leads into my business in order to have 36 leads, 36 leads into my business in order to have 12 trials in order to get the 10 signups that I wanted to get. That is common, having that bigger drop off between inquiry to trial. If you're losing people at trial to sign up, you need to really think about the experience that they're having within the session and also your sales process. So making sure that you have a really good lead generation spreadsheet is very important. A booking sheet, or unless you're going to, hey Bradley, use a booking system. So you can run a great business off a, sorry team, you can run a great business off a spreadsheet for quite a long period of time. The other thing is an invoice. We've put invoice here, or booking system. Like I just said, you can run a great business off a spreadsheet for a while and having invoicing yourself, but there will come a point where you go, you know what, this is something that I need to remove myself from and have a more efficient system to do that. Things like Bookio, you could look into. I know Trainerize and a bunch of those things do it. Do look at the cost of things. MindBody is very expensive. Bookio is a great alternative booking system. Then your terms and conditions and disclaimer, including cancellation policy. Please make sure you have one of those. Make sure you write your emails and your SMS templates. So those quick emails that you flick off, you really want to have them in a document, which becomes your trainer manual or your process admin manual. And you can track the effectiveness of them over time. So you can change them and go, look, this one's working really well. This one's not really working really well, and all that kind of stuff. Make sure you have a sales process. So you would really need to make sure you've got some kind of physical, either landing page or physical document that you can give them. So back in the day when I was at Fitness First, we had a sales folder. Now I have a lot of landing pages. If I was an on the ground PT, I would probably still execute a brochure or something that I could give to my clients so they can understand what they're signing up for. The more professional that you are in the way that you deliver, the more someone's going to choose you over the next person. And then an onboarding process, and that is a step-by-step way that person moves from inquiry down to response, to trial, to follow-up. So making sure that you have that process, and then your onboarding process is when they have signed up with you. What is their experience from there? I always like to talk to trainers about how do you stand out from other people. So in that onboarding process, I work with a lot of trainers that work with pre and postnatal clients. A lot of our team will put together videos, onboarding videos that the clients will watch prior to them coming to a training session, and they've been really, really useful, especially with COVID and not being able to be face-to-face. So having some kind of onboarding video is super helpful. The one thing I wanted to draw your attention to here, back on the other page, because I was just talking about terms and conditions and disclaimers, I've put a link to a really great, I don't want to say the word cheap, efficient, cost-efficient law business called Law on Earth. We have a partnership with Law on Earth, and you can sign up for that with them, and you can get all of those documents at a relatively low cost, and they will check over them and make sure that they're suitable for you. So don't skip out on those legal documents because it's too hard. I have a question, Mel. In your experiences, is your conversion rate higher for free trial or paid? We always used to do a $10 trial session, and the conversion was great. I never did a free trial session because I feel like people need to have at least a bit of skin in the game in order to turn up. And I also used to run sessions with nannies. So if people came with babies and I had nannies, I had an overhead. So I used that $10 to pay, at least contribute towards the nanny fee and pay my overhead. So, and if I didn't need that, I had extra coffee money. So I would always have some kind of paid trial. If they didn't want to sign up after the first session, I might then if I got a vibe as to whether they wanted to keep training, I would give them a second trial, but the second trial would be a one-off cost of the full session rate, but no commitment for ongoing training. And then post that, I want to sign them up for ongoing training with a commitment and a contract. All right. I just talked about manuals. So creating your manual over time is going to mean that when you are ready to bring somebody into your business to support you, so let's say an admin person or another trainer that's going to do some training sessions for you, if you already have a manual and you can hand over the way you do things, you're going to make your life so much more easy than you go, oh my goodness, I'm really busy, I need an admin person, I need some help. Holy shit, how do I communicate what is in my brain with the person now in front of me? If you do find that in yourself in that situation, all is not lost. I would make their number one rule or their number one item within their job description is to make sure that they're writing processes of everything that they've done. So if you can do it beforehand, do it, document things. And if you can't, and if you're in this situation now where you're like, oh, I need somebody, I don't have the process, make sure you have conversations via Zoom or use Loom or something like that to communicate what you want them to do. Then it's documented on video, but part of their job is to document that within a process document. What that also does for you is take any emotion out of when somebody leaves. So throughout my business career, whenever I get really upset or something emotionally affects the way I feel in business, I think about what do I need to do from a business perspective so that when this happens again, or if this happens again, I'm not emotionally upset by it. Sometimes that can mean charging somebody. Sometimes that is a process document. And when I say charging someone, it could be that, you know, maybe you've been asked to go over and above on the service that you're delivering. You don't feel like there's the financial gain was there and you're feeling a little bit depleted. You can introduce a fee for something. Here's a good example. So say if we tend to exercise the course, we have a cancellation policy, and we have a transfer fee, or transfer option before a certain point. What we found was sometimes people would message us the night before and something had come up or something was inconvenient and they wanted to transfer. We now have a transfer fee. So although I don't really care about the financial side of things, if they're paying me $200 to transfer, then I've taken the emotional frustration out of that conversation, and it's just the way it is. And there is a little bit of, it doesn't enable me to fill that spot again, but it does enable me to go, oh, okay, I've been compensated for that in some space, so I can not be emotional about it. I'm just going to flick through. I've got the chat as well, Luke. It's totally cool. Jill, do they pay per session or weekly or month membership scheme? I was always per session, but they would pay per block. Or on direct debit. So they're paying per session. I don't believe in, if you're a small sole trader fitness business, I'm not a big fan of unlimited training memberships. And the reason for that is you could end up putting someone on a $30 a week unlimited training membership and finding that your sessions you're getting paid $10 per session. Whereas if you paid that people paid individually, it might be $22 per session. I think that unlimited memberships work when you're growing a facility or you have enough people or trainers or sessions within your fitness business to be running a lot of sessions, and people can come in and out. And then I'd be basing my financials on the number of members that I have and going after a target number of members in order to become what I call oversubscribed or sold out. So Jill, hopefully that answered your question. Platforms, I'll go into that in a second. How to charge. How to charge, charge what you're worth. I think it's an interesting question, Jill. I know that, again, in the pre and postnatal space, we always will sit at the higher end of what you're charging. So we're going to talk about becoming a specialist in a second. So let's go and ask that again, Jill, in a second. The booking, Janet, was Bookio that I like. 10 passes. 10 passes are good, Jill, so long as they have an end date after 10 weeks, ideally. Of course, Raquel, welcome. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about processes and we've talked about the actual logistics that you want in your fitness business. I'd like to talk a little bit now about knowing what you want to build. And the reason for that, it's like I said at the beginning, is I work with a lot of fitness professionals that get to 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years down the path of their fitness building journey, fitness business building journey, and they've built this business that does not serve them. They're in conflict with their family. They don't train anymore because, they got into the fitness industry because they love training, and now they're training other people at the time that they love training, and they never train themselves. So I see a lot of that happen with early PTs. So I put this quote up on my Instagram page the other day. It says, "Stop building your fitness business based on other people's demands. You can only serve them best if you look after you too." So it's almost like being a parent, isn't it? We're looking after lots of people's emotions and their well-being and all of that kind of stuff. So I really talk in the language of understanding your life values. So for me, my 2 life values are courage and connection. So what I found towards the end of owning my fitness business is that I made this commitment when I had children that I would have somebody else take them to school or look after them in the morning, and I would be the parent that was present. I'd pick them up from school and I'd be at home, and that was fine for a while. But what eventually I started to feel like I was missing out on taking my children to school. I didn't take my daughter to school until she was in year 3, and it actually resulted in a very challenging transition for all of us that which we're kind of still playing out at the moment. But what I started to realize is that my business was very much, I guess, my life was revolving around my business, and I was very much out of alignment with my values of connection with my kids. So what that meant for me is I stopped doing all early morning PT. And then over time, I decided that I needed to stop training people face to face anyway. We were having a lot of problems dropping her at school, and I needed to be at the park at 9:15. And if she was upset, then I had to basically shove her through a door, leave her with somebody, and then go. So, and that's my experience. And you guys have things very, everyone's got their own experience, but I highly recommend that you think about what your life values are. So life areas would include family, love and romance, relationships, finances, business, spirituality, and health and fitness, and come up with your life values that all of those things, those areas of life fit into. So a lot of people can tell you their business values, they can't tell you their life values. One of the things I'd like to offer you guys at the end is my heartfelt goal setting workbook, so you can work through your values, because next to having all that technical stuff in place, I believe your values are the most important thing that you need to understand when you're growing your fitness business, or if you're now in a business that you feel like is really not serving you, it's serving everybody else, but not you anymore, and you're out of alignment with your whole life. There's a bunch of questions. I'm just going to have a look. I think I've answered the top 2. So Jack, NDIS seems to be an ever-growing market. What are your thoughts and opinions on getting to work within this market? Do you know if you can book a certain amount of sessions with a client? Or you know what, Jack, I'm going to be super honest that I don't know a lot about working with NDIS, so I don't know the process. I am pretty sure that Fitness Australia has information on that. Luke, can I pass that to you and ask if we have a link on the Fitness Australia website around working with NDIS? I do know, Jack, that it'd be super, it would be a great thing to add to your portfolio of what you're doing, especially if you're working with, specializing in working with clients that are on the NDIS. Luke, I can see you've just popped up there.
Yeah, I know we do have a little bit of information, so I'll get in touch with Jack and pass that information on, and I'll pop it in the chat as well once I've got that up.
Amazing. Appreciate that. Thanks, Luke. But any relationships, Jack, so partnerships are great. We're going to talk about partnerships in a second. So working with the NDIS would be, in my opinion, a partnership. Cool. All right. Next thing, know your ideal client. So this could be Jack. Jack wants to work with people that need support through the NDIS. That could be his speciality. I know sometimes that when you're early in your career, you're kind of like, oh, I don't want to take people out of who I want to work with, or there's absolutely nothing wrong with spending the first couple of years working with all of the different people and then working out who your true passion is. But at some point, I highly, highly recommend that you choose who your ideal client would be. And when you get down into that, what is their name? How old are they? What do they do for work? What is their income? What do they do for fun? Where do they hang out? But then beyond that, what are their key problems or pain points? And how does this make them feel? And then what solutions are you going to offer them for their pain points. So one of the pain points I had was I work with mums, and mums can't exercise because they've got nothing to do with their child. So we offered an on-site childcare for mums to be able to train while their baby was being looked after. Child-friendly sessions do the same. So it could be anything like that. Was a way that I could then market my business to my community. Once you know your ideal client, once you know your ideal client, we want to start refining what I call your pitch, or a lot of business people will call your pitch. So I love getting people to refine their pitch starting on Instagram. And the reason for that is because the amount of characters that you get to tell the world what you do on Instagram is so small. And if you can do that, you can then communicate that at a party, or you can communicate that to a friend. I love the kid test, and that's what the two little people in the middle are. So I often test my children on what I do, because if my children can explain to me what I do, then I know that out in the community, when I'm trying to, grow my influence in the community, become recognized and become known for what I do and who I work with, that someone's going to go, oh, you just had a baby and you want to exercise, you need to go to talk to Jen. That's what she does. Or, you're on the NDIS. I know this guy, Jack, he works with people that are on the NDIS. So I need to put you in touch with him. Pamela. Yeah, it can do. And I see a lot of people's ideal, like some of the trainers that I've worked with that are still part of our membership, is they've started off working with early postnatal mums. And then as their journeys change, they've started to work with mums that are a little bit older and older than that. So the beauty of having a sole trader fitness business is that you get to evolve over time. I evolved my business from working with trainers themselves, from working with clients themselves to working with trainers in the pre and postnatal space. And I love the business space. So then I start to plug in the business space, but I got to start to tell people I work in the business space. So refining my message to market is super important. And that's one of the big things I've worked on over the last couple of years, is to evolve my presence, not only in the pre and postnatal space, but into the business space as well. But I can't do that until I start to communicate with people what I do and how I do it in a very succinct kind of way. Then think about getting onto your different platforms. You don't have to be on them all. But choose the ones that align with your target market, and get on them. At some point, this little globe is a website. So at some point, you're going to want a website, but you could start off with things like MailChimp and things like that for now have landing pages. So you can set yourself up with a home online relatively cheaply. But what I see a lot of people do is they set up their website first. It's very generic. Then they go back and do the work on working out who they want to talk to, and then they realize that this whole website they built is now wrong and it's not talking to their ideal client. So then they got to go back and do that. So before you do any of those things, try it on your Instagram first because it's cheap and easy and free and little, and then work out once you've worked out your ideal client, you've got it up on Instagram, and then start your website build as well. This is another one that I so trying to get so for me, the platforms that I use to get the desirable, to have a conversation with the people that I would love to work with would be on Facebook and Instagram, and potentially on LinkedIn. So if I want to talk in the business space, I'm going to keep hitting LinkedIn. But generally for the mum market or the trainer market, I'm playing on Instagram and Facebook. So just choose one. If you've not got the capacity to do all of them, just choose one. But you definitely need part of your business strategy to be how to get people off those platforms into your mailing list, because we all probably experienced the Facebook shutdown a few weeks ago. And if that had lasted for a long time, a lot of people would have completely lost their audiences because they don't have a mailing list. This one, where are we? Claiming your Google My Business. Now, if you're running a sole trader fitness business, I suggest you go do this today. Go claim, I'm not going to go into it. I'm definitely not the expert on Google My Business, but getting a listing on Google My Business is going to start to help more organic leads, especially if you're a local business, to come to you if you are regularly posting or getting your clients to be posting reviews. I've put a couple of links down here. So one is the link to the Google My Business kind of page, which is the one that you're seeing here. And the other one is to another company called My 5-Star Reviews. Carl's a good friend of mine. He's also a dent coach, and he runs a business that supports other businesses in upping their presence on Google My Business. So a cheap but effective way for you guys to start to grow your Google presence. Then you want to become locally famous. I've got a whole presentation on this, but we want to help you guys. Once you know your pitch, you know your ideal client, you know your pitch, you want to become the go-to person in your area for what you do. So you want to become locally famous. And in order to do that, here's a bunch, I'm watching the time now, here's a bunch of things that you can do to start to build the local profile of your sole trader business. So creating flyers. I love flyers, and I know some people are like, nah, it's old school. I'm not saying go and do a mailbox drop, but I am saying to become a successful sole trader local business, you need to have layers of where you're known. So yes, having your Instagram, yes, having your Facebook, but beyond that, how are the people in your community going to get to know who you are if you're not seen everywhere? So flyers, putting them everywhere, create relationships with local coffee shops, build partnerships, and I've got another page on partnerships in a second, with allied health professionals, so your physios, daycares, doctors, anywhere that your ideal client hangs out, you need to create partnerships with those people. You put your flyers in there. Sharon just said she loves flyers. She gets 90% of her business from flyers. My first marketing strategy was to walk around Centennial Park with my son in his pram and give out flyers and start conversations. People then got to know me. The layer on top of that was my car was then parked in Centennial Park with the brand on the car. A lot of parks won't allow you to have signage, but they can't stop you parking your car there. And if you're a local fitness business, your car's being seen everywhere. Flyers don't work alone. And this is the big key message to things like this. Building your local profile, it's not about doing one thing, it's about layering all of the things. So your flyers alone probably won't work, but your flyer, when they've seen your flyer, then they see your car, then they stumble upon your Instagram page, then their friend talks about you. And by the time you've had all of those touch points, absolutely, Roger's saying, talking to your local council and get into their bulletin, so other people's newsletters, all that kind of thing. People need to see you. There's some research out there that people need to spend 7 hours with you and see you in 12 different touch points. There's a 4 in there too, but I can't remember what that one is. So people need to see you everywhere. Too many fitness businesses go straight to Facebook marketing, Facebook ads. Facebook ads, I encourage you to see as the icing on top. Do the layers, build your local profile and credibility. And then when you do a Facebook ad, it might just be the thing that tips someone over the edge. Facebook ads don't work when people don't know, like, and trust you first. Get your car branded, give talks, wear your branded clothing everywhere, get those t-shirts out, tell people what you do. We talked about that. Get into the local media. And we're about to launch our new brand, Mum Safe, in November. And we've got strategies for how to get all of our trainers into the media. It's super important. Make sure you're set up. If you're an outdoor trainer, choose a location that has high passing traffic. It makes such a big difference to people that will come to you. I've run different businesses in different types of locations. One, Centennial Park, high traffic area, really good. Birch Grove, no one goes to Birch Grove unless you're going to Birch Grove. Much harder, especially because I didn't live in local area, so my car wasn't driving around as much. So there are a bunch of ideas that you guys can use to get your sole trader business out into the world. Then we're going to connect with like-minded partners. So this is a photo of myself and my lovely women's health physiotherapist, Jo. Jo and I have worked together for over a decade. What I'd like to encourage you guys when you're creating partnerships is to go into the relationship with, what can I do for you? A lot of people just want to create relationships to get referrals, and that's great. They'll come over time. But if you're out there putting out into the world how you can be in service of the people that you partner with, there's a law of I was trying to write this before, I can't say it. Reciprocity? No, it's things come back to you when you go into things with the right intention. So always be out there trying to give more than you get, and you'll find that things come back in spades. It can take a long time to build up relationships, and you might need to spread your wings wide, have conversations with lots of people, and then you'll find your awesome partners that will be, on your side and part of your team for a really long time. The next thing I've got in here second to last slide, third to last slide, is find your cheer squad. Being a sole trader is really, really lonely. So it doesn't matter where you go to find this. So Fitness Australia, if you've got questions, put them on the Facebook page. You might choose to invest in a fitness business coach or a business coach at some point. You might find another Facebook page community that you love. I know Fitness Education Online have a great community. We have a great community of fitness professionals that work with mums, which is Fit Pros for Mums. But find those people that will help your journey become that little bit less lonely, and that you can, I guess, bounce your questions off, because that is a game changer when you're running a business alone. This is all our team a couple of years ago. We were supposed to go on a retreat the other week and it got cancelled. So just a little recap of what we've been through today. So we've gone through a checklist of logistics, the kind of technical stuff that you need to get in place. We've talked about systems and processes, all those templates and that kind of stuff. We've talked about knowing what you want to create based upon the life that you want to lead. So we want you to be creating a values-driven fitness business that supports your whole life, not a fitness business that you're trying to fit your life into. We've talked about knowing your client, so you can go out there with intention, and also then getting known. So if you know your client, it's a lot easier to become known for the thing that you want to be known for in your area and to become a successful local business. All of this stuff translates onto online as well. It's just that little bit harder if you're growing an online business than it is if you're growing a locally famous business. That is it. So these are the ways that if you've got questions, you can, or you want to have a look at anything, you can get in contact with me. I will, like I said at the beginning, I'll be setting up a link so that Fitness Australia will send it out, and I will put in there the financial spreadsheet. I'll put in the heartfelt goal setting, and I'll also put the slides, because there's a lot of, just checklists and things that you can work through in order to make your business a little bit more organized. Cool. So I can see lots of thank yous. Thank you so much. I really appreciate everyone's time and energy. I know that taking time out of your day is not always easy, so I very much appreciate whenever anyone chooses to spend time with me. So thank you, guys. If anyone's got any questions, let me know. Luke, you can jump back on if you want to. I'm not seeing any questions. Well, lots of thank yous, which is lovely.
Thank you for that, Jen. That was fabulous. Thank you for everyone throwing their praise in as well. I can see them still flying through. It's good to see such good numbers as well today. So thank you for coming, Jen, and thank you for everyone else attending. Did you want to hang on for a little bit and wait for a few more questions?
Yeah, I'll see if there's any more questions that come through. Kylie, the short answer to do I mentor is the short answer is yes. You can get in contact if you want to. Julianne, Luke is another one about NDIS information, if you've got that.
Oh, yeah, cool. I think with the NDIS side of things, it's probably best to give them a call directly, Julian. So I'll pop their number in the chat. Let me just pop it up. But probably good to give them a call. They'll probably have a bit more information than we would just to start up. So I'll pop that in there and give them a call.
Awesome. I just grabbed another question from Diane. Any tips for buying a business you work for? Make sure you see the financials is the biggest thing that I would be looking at. Financials, at least in the last 3 years. Understanding the assets that they have within the business, and do they not only assets, but do they have a manual? Do they have a how-to? Because a lot of fitness businesses, in my opinion, and I'm not a business broker, however, we sell a big liability. So for example, if the business is not turning over a huge amount of money, if you've got a whole heap of gear and you've got rent to pay, you need to really do the financials and make sure that what you're paying for, you're able to execute the business with. I would always make sure that you have a process manual. If they don't have a manual, then I feel like there's a big hole in the way that the business is being run. And I'd be asking big questions around that. But yeah, that would be my 2 cents worth there, Diane. Yeah. Louise, mum's training, do you need a certain number of kids to a carer? What are the rules when group training? I'm not sure what state you're in. I would look at childcare guidelines. When I was running group training with on-site childcare, because we weren't a childcare facility, as in mum was there, we were never more than 100 meters away from the children with the carer. We didn't have to abide by childcare rules. However, we did have I think it was either 4 to 1 or 5 to 1 head count, child to nanny ratio. Just make sure, Louise, that your insurance covers the nannies and the children. So if you're having children on site or you've got contractors, you shouldn't be paying your $199 or $300 insurance. It's more like a couple of $1,000s. So make sure that your insurance looks after you in that way, and just make those inquiries into your state guidelines, Louise. Do that really well, because you definitely don't want problems with children and nannies. Neha, I think, I apologize if I pronounced that incorrectly. I'm new to the country and trying to find my tribe. So many useful points you gave. Most of them I've been doing. Beautiful. How do you target your audience? I'm not the best at targeting an audience through LinkedIn, but what I would say is, if let's say your audience was corporate, you might want to be writing articles on LinkedIn. I know that you can go live on LinkedIn now. So that would be probably, corporate clients would be hanging out on LinkedIn more than they might be hanging out on Facebook or Instagram. If you want to do presentations in corporates, things like that. So I would set up your profile, make sure your profile is really refined. So when we were talking about knowing your audience, and then start posting quality content on LinkedIn, you can put articles and things like that up there. Insurance different from home business. You definitely, again, I'm not an insurance broker, but you definitely need to make sure that you're allowed to trade as a business at home, and that also your insurance is covering you in the way that it needs to at home. That is one of the liabilities, I guess, team, of being a sole trader business. So you want to be having constant conversations with people that look after your accounting and also the legal side of things, is that when you are a sole trader, there's no barrier between you and any liability. So for example, if something happened at home, there was an insurance claim, then they can come after your home because you are a sole trader. So as your business is growing and you feel like you're at more liability, you might want to start to look at becoming a company. That's where I'm going to leave my advice, but just make sure you're asking lots of questions along the way. Roger, the short answer, if you're renting a home and then, okay, Roger's advice. Yeah, if you're renting a home, then check with the landlord if it's okay. Absolutely. Liabilities locally or freelancing, I'm assuming that is in relation to just making sure that you've got the right insurances, you've got the right qualifications for the things that you want to deliver. So understanding your scope of practice, and then also any licenses and things like that if you're outside. I think that covered that, Neha. What happens, Robin's question, what happens if another business uses your business name or similar? I remember, so Body Beyond Baby was trademarked. And I remember Googling it at one point, and there was a business using that as a program name. So I just shot off a really polite email to say, hey, did you know that this is trademarked and registered to me? I'd really appreciate if you change the name of your program. And they did that straight away. If you do not own the business name and you don't own the trademark, you don't really have a leg to stand on. So you got to change your business name is the short answer, Robin. But if you own all of the things, you can send them, get legal letters and that kind of stuff. Anonymous question, what's the number one thing you can do with your brochures? Give them out. Just get them into as many hands as possible. So, brochures, there's a difference, I guess, between a brochure or a flyer. A brochure could be a PDF that includes all of the things that your business offers. It could be more of an offering, which would be, if you're going to walk into corporate, you'd want some kind of brochure or PDF so that you can give them something tangible. If it is a flyer, then I definitely just get them out in as many places as you can. I do a thing with all of the people that I mentor and get them to write a list of 100 places that their ideal client hangs out. And then their job is to go and put flyers in those 100 places. Over time, you start to understand who just throws your flyer out, who just shoves it up the corner, and then the people that actually are proactive in giving out your flyers. And they're the ones that you then build those relationships with. So you start to really refine who your partners are and the best places to hang out, and then thank them for doing that. I think that's it. Is that it, Luke?
Awesome. Yeah, I think that was the last of it. I saw a question from Mal just pop up in regards to the CC. So
okay.
For those that don't know as well, the survey will pop up after we finish today. And once you complete that, we'll add the CC automatically to your CC diaries over the next few days. As well, we'll email out the slides and a recording of the session for everyone. 100% on that. But
Perfect.
I think that's it for the questions.
Yeah.
Anything else to close off, Jen?
No, just if anyone's got any questions, probably the best place to get me is on Instagram. But yeah, feel free to reach out if I can help anyone in any way. More than happy to help if I can.
Amazing. Well,
Cool.
thank you for today, Jen, and thank you for everyone for
Pleasure.
attending.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye, guys.
Bye.